Welcome to the Business Lounge. My guest today, Catherine Cross of Confidence Medical Limited, an organisation which you set up about 6 years ago?
That's right, that's correct, yeah.
And we'll go on to talk about what you do and the services that you offer, but have you always been involved in the medical profession?
Yes, I started nursing in 1981, became a staff nurse, and then I went on and qualified as a midwife. I worked in a high-risk unit in Hull until 2003, and then I set up this business on my own.
What prompted you to get involved in the medical industry in the first place?
As far as my nursing, or as far
yeah,
as
was it a thing straight from school? Or?
Oh, absolutely. My father was very sick when I was young. He was an asthmatic, and he died when I was 13. And I always said to him that I would be a nurse one day, and I wanted to be a nurse, and I became a nurse, and it was just the best thing I could have done, really.
You enjoyed it?
Loved it. Loved all
because,
of it.
I mean, you know, any nurse, any working nurse now will tell you, I mean, it's in many cases a thankless job.
It is a thankless job. I think things are different now. Obviously, I was there when it was an older school, and we had matrons, and so the rules were very strict, and I liked the discipline of that. And I think today, because a lot of the nurses are sort of degree nurses, and it's a stepping stone, they don't have the passion, and they don't actually go in for it for the right reasons, or some of them don't. Obviously, I can't speak for everybody.
So how did you work your way up the medical ladder then when you were working as a nurse?
I just worked very hard. I was good at what I did. I cared, and obviously I was in a position where I could move up the ladder. I wanted to be a midwife. I did my midwifery training and qualified. I was fortunate to qualify, and obviously I took on everything that I could. So I took on every other qualification I could as far as my midwifery was concerned, and just worked my way up.
It's a big step though, isn't it, from working as a midwife, from being involved in a huge organisation that the NHS is, to starting up on your own. Why did you want to start up on your own?
I've got 4 children. My youngest son was born with a cleft palate, and he didn't have a hair lip, but he had a substantial cleft palate, which meant he couldn't swallow, he couldn't eat, I had to force feed him, and he needed surgery. I worked shifts. My husband was a police officer, so he worked shifts, so it came where I was actually going to work and working a 15-hour shift after having 4 hours sleep, and then not going to bed the next day, and the quality of life for the children, myself, and everybody was poor. The other thing is, in a high-risk unit, you have to be absolutely on the ball all the time. And I had managed to be on the ball, but there was a risk that, obviously, if I wasn't sleeping, and I had a lot of things going on, that it was something that I couldn't maintain. So I just sat down and I thought, well, what else can I do? And during my career, during the course of my career, I've done lots of different courses. Anything that I could grab, I've grabbed. And I just thought I would open a business and incorporate everything that I've known. I started off doing the aesthetics, but I also was very interested in nutrition. When I started my nursing, from going from a home where I had 3 meals a day, in those days you didn't snack, it was you were hungry when you had your meal. I went into nursing where we missed meals because we couldn't get breaks, and so my whole diet went to pot, and you end up where you're eating all the wrong things, and I actually did put 2 stone on. I then went in to look at the nutritional part of my nursing, and I changed my diet very quickly, and I've never looked back. And I've been, 9 stone ever since. When I've had my children, I've put 2 stone on, and within 2 weeks I've gone back. So I knew how to do it. So I opened, there's a Sure Slim part of my business, and it's a medically based business where we teach people how to eat, we teach them about themselves, it's one-to-one, we do blood tests, and we look at them as a whole, and we train them, and they change their lives, they change the diet, and they change their lives.
So that's the nutritional side of the business, but there is, you mentioned the aesthetic side as well.
The aesthetic side, I actually became interested in that because, like I said, my son had a cleft palate, and I got involved with plastic surgeons and other people who were obviously helping everything to be put right, and that made me look at that side of things. And when I first started with the aesthetics, I started where I was treating people who'd got cerebral palsies because they'd had a stroke. Very easily with Botox, you can lift an eye. People who'd been in road traffic accidents and they'd probably got some kind of indentation. One of my girls, a young girl of 18, she'd lost part of her lip, and she comes and has filler, which is non-permanent, but obviously as her face is changing, we don't want anything permanent in there because we can sort of adapt it to a face. And that was my interest initially, and then obviously, because I'm passionate about everything I do, I trained more and did more work, started doing cosmetic aesthetics, which it's not just for vanity, it's for self-esteem.
Sure.
You know, it's self-respect. People would have their hair coloured, they want to lose weight, they want to keep fit. Why should they have to put up with lines and things that they don't like about themselves when we can correct it?
It's an alternative industry to be in, isn't it, really? I mean, I've met lots of people who can tell stories of how they go on to set up their business that supplies office equipment, or how they go to set up their building company. You've already been in the medical profession, but then you want to start up a medical company. Does that make it even more difficult to start a business, particularly a woman in business and starting up as well?
When I first started the business, I was terrible at business because I'm a nurse. So I've always, you know, I'd get my wages every month, but I would give everything in that time. So trying to quantify what you should be charging people, and so suddenly changing from giving all the time to actually taking from people, as you know, obviously I'm giving to them, was very difficult, and I made quite a lot of mistakes at the beginning. I think the reason why I've been successful is because I'm passionate about it. The knowledge and experience I've had as a nurse has been priceless, because people respect the fact that you're a nurse. People come to me and yes, I'm doing a particular treatment, but I'm always doing something else. They'll ask me about something else. They'll show me something they've got on the leg that's a problem, or they'll explain to me that they're having problems sleeping. So there's always lots of other things surrounding it. The business is looking at people as a whole. So what we're doing is we're basically saying you can have confidence. We'll help you with your weight. We'll help you with any sort of problems that you've got, which you can't sort of sort out yourself from a personal point of view. We'll help you to have confidence and look better. We'll do what we can, and we will show you what you can do with your life and what you can do with the way you look to improve your life. And
what about the level? Did you have to get any investment when you were starting?
I got a credit card because I haven't got any money, and I started off with £15,000, and then obviously I paid that off. So I started from there. A beautiful place which was adjacent to my house, and 4 rooms, very big. So over the years I've bought all the equipment that I need. I've invested and invested. I've done a lot of extra training courses, and I'm on the board of advisors for Allergan, which is a big cosmetic company, and I'm actually trained to teach and train doctors, nurses and dentists in my profession. It's
an extraordinary accolade. I mean, to be able to have got that far in the 6 years since Confidential started you must be really proud of that.
I'm very proud. It's been a lot of hard work. I've actually, because my clinic is next door to where I live, often I get up in the night and 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning would go into work to do all my emails and do all my accounts, and obviously to try and cut the costs of employing people, because it's very difficult when you just start out. So I've worked very, very hard, but obviously it's paid off.
How do you start off with a client? If you have a new client, if I came to you and said, I don't know, I've got an issue, but I'm not used to, and I'm a bit sceptical about seeing someone who might give me some Botox or might do some form of temporary repair, if you like. How do you put people like that at their ease?
Well, obviously say, hello, I'm Kathy. And then I will say, what can I do for you? What are you concerned about? So I always ask them what they're concerned about. And obviously they'll start to talk to me and tell me what they're concerned about. Once I've done that, whatever they're concerned about, I will then discuss the treatment that I would advise and go into detail about the products that I would use. But then often they'll turn around and say, would you do anything with this? So we go on to that, but I always would just treat the area that they've come for. I'll discuss the other areas, but I always say, look, it's your first treatment. I think you should just have this done and go away and sort of reflect on the advice I've given you. And they always come back. And we never put any pressure on. Some people will come and if they're not sure, we'll say, look, you mustn't make a decision today, but go home and, just ring us and you can come back at any time.
Do you think nowadays you're almost reaping the benefits of an increasingly vain society?
I don't think it's... I think forever we've always looked after ourselves. The beauty business is massive. Creams and potions, people will spend £200 or £300 on a cream, but it just doesn't do what these treatments do. And it's the step before having plastic surgery, and people don't want to have plastic surgery all the time. So this is like keeping them looking okay and looking young until they actually get to that point.
Where would you like to see yourself in, 5 years' time, 10 years' time?
I'd like to be doing regular training courses. I'd like to obviously have a lot more clients. I'd like to be in a situation where I can employ somebody else as well to help me, and I just want to expand.
Well, it's very good to meet you. Continued success with the business.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Kathy Cross.